Assalamualaikum and hello everyone. So how are you today? I hope you guys are in a good health and in a good mood. So as we know, today my friend and I like to share a little bit about something or food that is very common in our society. Can you guess? What is it? So for today, we are going to talk about bread. What is bread? And what are you guys know well about bread? So in our mind, we just know bread is a food that are made from a flour. To know more about bread, I have one friend that can tell more about bread. So Farah, can you tell us about bread?
Hi and Assalamualaikum. Welcome back to Cooking Show. So, my name is FARAH IZZATY binti BAKAR, PA 21022. Today, I want to share about bread. So, you all know about bread? Let me explain. Bread is a basic meal made from a flour, typically wheat and water dough that is baked. It has been a key element of many civilizations' diets throughout record history and across the world. It is one of the earliest human-made delicacies dating back to the birth of agriculture and play an important part in both religious and secular culture. So, what types of bread? Bread is typically created from a wheat flour dough that is fermented with yeast, then allowed to rest before being baked. Frequent or bread wheat is the most common grain used for the making breads, which contributes the most to the world's food supply of any food due to its high quantities of gluten, which provide the dough sponge and flexibility. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you for your good explanation for introduction of the product, Miss Farah. Next, what is the principle of the microorganism and the product? So, I have one friend can tell you more about the principle of the microorganism and the product of the bread. So, Miss KHAIRUNISA, can you explain more about the principle of it?
Assalamualaikum and good day to all. I am KHAIRUNISA AMIRAH, and in this segment we're going to learn about the principle of yeast and bread. So what is yeast? Yeast is a single-cell fungi that have around 1,500 species. That's a lot. However, the only one that can be used in the kitchen during the cooking process is Saccharomyces cerevisiae. Before making a bread, we need to make sure that our yeast is alive. How to do that? First, when we open a package of yeast, it's supposed to smell earthy and yeasty. Second way, we can do a little experiment to make sure our yeast is alive. We only need water, yeast, and sugar. First, we need to mix some of the water with a pinch of sugar into the yeast powder. Within 10 minutes, the solution is going to be frothy. That means your yeast is alive and you can use it in the bread making. One of the steps in bread making is fermentation. It is when the bread is set aside during a couple of hours in a warm place or for a long period in the refrigerator. This is where the magic happens. Fermentation can turn a small bowl of dough into a bigger one, almost double the size. So, how can this happen? First, enzyme in the yeast will start to break down the starch into a simple sugar. Then, they will consume this simple sugar, including the sugar in dough, converting them into alcohol and carbon dioxide gas. The gas will spread out throughout the dough and causing it to rise. The process will continue. Yeast will produce more and more carbon dioxide. This will happen until the alcohol generated will inhibit the yeast activity. So the fermentation process will stop. That is all from me. Thank you.
Thank you, Miss KHAIRUNISA, for the good explanation. You must wonder how to produce the bread. What is the step? So we are here to resolve your confusion. One of my friends can tell you how to produce the bread. Miss QASRINA, can you show and explain more about the detail of the step?
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is QASRINA AISHAH BINTI 1 FAZAMIZA, PA 21033. Today I'm going to talk about my part, which is the process of producing our product, bread. All of the procedures in producing bread are vital, but most bakers will agree that the three most significant steps are mixing, fermentation, and baking. They are frequently referred to as heart and cornerstone of bread making. Gathering ingredients is always the first step in baking bread or any other food. To make the simplest bread, not flat bread, but like yeast rising bread, these ingredients are needed: flour, water, and yeast. Measurements and mixing is done by mixing together white flour, water, yeast, salt, and if desired, oil, emulsifiers, and sugar. How white or how brown the bread gonna be depends on how many flours you put. Whole grain bread is made of nothing but grains, while white bread is made of flour. The goal is to mix and moisten dry ingredients, add air, and make gluten so that the dough is easy to work with. When making bread, it's best to mix the dry ingredients without fillings first before adding the wet ones. Mixing, make sure that all ingredients are spread out evenly in the bread. It makes sure that the yeast is evenly spread through the dough, making it light and airy. It also makes sure that the salt is spread out evenly, because too much salt at one place is going to stop the yeast from growing locally. The yeast will die if the water given is too hot. Only take as much warm water as you can touch and swallow. Water that is much hotter than 40 Celsius, like boiling water, will kill the yeast. Flour that has been sifted is put into a big industrial mixer. The temperature of the water that goes into the mixer is controlled. The mixture is called gluten, which gives bread its flexibility. There is a certain amount of yeast used. Depending on what kind of bread is being made, other things are added to the mixer. Even though making bread today is mostly done by machines, it is very important for the people to be able to tell how elastic it is and how it looks. Once all the ingredients are mixed, the dough is kneaded. Binding the dough, the network of gluten and air bubbles that allow the carbon dioxide produced by fermentation to collect was created. Because the ingredients soak up a lot of water, the dough becomes stretchy. The dough will be smooth and able to be stretched. It gets sticky and falls apart if you knead the dough for too long. There are two ways to knead, either by hand or by using electric mixers. It takes time and practice to knead by hand. There are many ways to do this, such as slamming the dough on the counter repeatedly, tearing it apart, and so on. Next step is fermentation. The goal is to promote yeast growth, produce carbon dioxide, ethanol, and organic acids, generate flavor and fragrances, and modify dough. When the dough is finished, it is ready for its first rise, also known as first fermentation. As noted in the kneading stage, air pockets must be formed to generate fluffy bread. These are produced through yeast fermentation. Glucose are consumed by yeast and converted into energy. Carbon dioxide is produced as a result of this process. This is a gas that expands the dough. Yeast grows best at a certain temperature. In other words, they do not develop or grow extremely slow at temperatures below or above their growth temperature. They may even die if the temperature is too high. Yeast continues to create gas in the refrigerator, albeit lower than an ambient temperature. Nonetheless, the lower temperature generate different reactions that results in various flavors. Aside from temperature management, humidity is also vital at this time. To avoid sticking, make sure the dough does not touch the lid. It is now time to shape the bread, which is perhaps one of the procedures that have the most influence on the final appearance on the bread. Shaping the bread after the first rising helps to improve the structure of the bread. Shaping determines the ultimate shape of the bread, whether it's long, round, or square. The last proofing occurs in the baking tin. A temperature of 34 Celsius is excellent for the growth of mesophilic microorganisms. Consequently, the bread must be made in a clean and sanitary environment, and so does other food. Last step is baking. The goal is to turn raw dough into bread. Set product structure. crust and crumb formation, and extend shelf life. Baking time is determined by the oven temperature, proof dough, final product temperatures, and heating pattern. After the final proof, the dough is properly risen and is ready to bake. Steam is introduced into the oven at the start of the baking process. The condensed steam prevents the dough from forming a strong outer layer that may rip. The yeast is still active throughout the first 10 minutes of baking, which is known as oven rising. These yeast cells, however, will die as soon as the oven temperature climbs to around 60 Celsius. When the dough is ready, it is sent to a second molding machine, which reshapes it into loaves and places it into pans. The baking and the chilling procedure takes around 30 minutes. The bread must be cooled down before being sliced and packaged to avoid condensation from forming in the bag. That's how you make the bread. That's all from my part. Thank you so much.
Wow, it's quite easy to make a bread. Why not after this we can try to make a bread? You guys know the application of the bread. Why not we ask Mr. Daniel to explain more about the application of the bread? Please, Mr. Daniel.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad Danial bin Mustapha, PA 2107. Today, I'm gonna share to you guys about application and variant of bread in our world. First of all, bread is one of the most extensively eaten food on the planet. So, there is more than 100 varieties of bread exist today. There is a lot of bread to try, from sourdough to pita bread, especially when people want handmade or homemade food product. Next, I will share to you guys a few famous bread in our world. First of all is white bread. White bread is the most often used bread, whether as a sandwich bread or cake bread. However, it is not among the healthiest bread option. Although it is convenient to take a packet, it lacks taste and has a low nutritional content. Next is baguette. Baguette is the world's second most popular bread. This bread is recommended for pairing with soup because the crunchy prevent it from becoming mushy in the liquid. Next is whole grain bread. This would be the healthiest sort of bread as it produced from whole grains and is ideal for nutritious breakfast. This is not just nutrient dense but also high in fiber. However, you must ensure that you are getting whole grain bread rather than brown bread with a high percentage of wheat. Next is ciabatta. Ciabatta was created in 1982 in Verona from wheat bread, water, yeast, plus a little salt to give a handmade alternative to the rising importance of fresh bread. Next is focaccia. Focaccia is another Italian bread. This amazing bread is served on the side with the main course, which has a mix of oil, gluten-rich wheat. It's more like a pizza based than a sandwich bread. Next is sourdough bread. This term comes from some of the sourer flavor that come from the combination of both lactobacilli and yeast in the dough. This unique bread is baked after the dough has matured. This bread is great for toasted and then spreading with butter for a tangy flavor. Next is rye bread. This bread is great for empty sandwich and is fairly satisfying because of the existing of rye. Next is pumpernickel bread. This bread combines the characteristic of sourdough and rye bread. It is low in calories but high in flavor. This bread is often used as a sandwich loaf and is highly nutritious with several advantages. Next is pita bread. This type of flat bread produced with wheat, salt, yeast, and water. However, it is not suitable for sandwich, but it is one of the greatest breads for kebab. Last is naan bread. Sometimes when you enjoy Indian cuisine, you have to definitely taste this bread for several moments. Garlic naan, potato baked naan, and peshwari naan are just a few of the options. This is the ideal bread for serving with curries in Indian cuisine. So that's all from me. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Daniel, for the best explanation. So now we know the application of the bread. every food has their own benefit, such as banana, broccoli, and carrot. But what about bread? Mr. Jeremiah, would you like to share with us about the advantages and disadvantages of the bread?
Hello, here I am Jeremiah Nathan going to talk about the advantages and also disadvantages of bread. At this time, we started using bread, which is very popular. The benefits and harms of bread have long been identified. So many women who want to lose weight have been long replaced by regular bread. In addition, it is worth noting that bread is replaced as an environmentally friendly product, which in turn is very valuable today. Most nutritionists claim that regular consumption of club stuff has a significant impact on the general state of health. Bread contains many different minerals, vitamins, and other substances that are useful for health. This is due to the fact that the bread is made on the basis of the lower grade of flour, which retains more necessarily for human matter, which contributes to the maintenance of the tone immunity. Often in cholesterol includes stevia, carrots, bran, and beta-carotene, which also have a beneficial effect on health. In addition, bread does not contain yeast, which suggests that it can be used even by those people whose bread products cause nausea or other discomfort. A protein that is easily digestible and is a valuable ingredient that is also concluded in bread. The benefits and harms in this case can be considered depending on the relationship with the mobile protein. Among other things, bread is rich in fiber, which helps to increase metabolism, get rid of toxins and other unwanted things, and generally affect the entire metabolism. The effect of the gastrointestinal tracts, it also says that the bread diet fits perfectly into your diet. Bread is an element of a healthy diet. It is worth remembering that it is a product, not a drug. So do not eat them in limited quantities. Also, do not just eat them because the body is also needed and other ingredients that do not contain bread. Benefits and harms to eat to determined by the manufacturers. In formulations that do not contain any harmful chemicals, but some still add them a variety of additive. So carefully review the label of this product. Among other things, you also need to take into account the uniqueness of the organism. Bread is not a bread. They are very similar to the taste of bread. So introducing them into your diet, you will not feel lack of bread. The fact that they're rich in carbohydrates, vegetables, fats, and vitamins, and do not contain preservatives, agents, and other chemicals that only say that for children to spit. Even if your child has allergies, you can still safely administer bread in your daily diet. That's all from me. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jeremiah, for the good explanation. So now we are know the benefit of the bread. So now we are know more about bread, the principle of the microorganism and the product of the bread, how to produce the bread, the application of the bread, and then lastly, the benefit of the bread. There are so many input of the bread that we are agreeing today. I hope everyone are enjoy watch this TV show. So, stay safe and thank you for watching. See you guys next time. Bye!